Okay, I'm going to talk to you as to why, as entrepreneurs, you fail to make money or you fail to stick to anything because essentially you can't actually stick to a business idea and you actually keep failing and keep losing money. Um, Now, it's actually very, very simple. So, entrepreneurs go through these 5 stages, and this is kind of Alex Hormozzi's graph, and he talks about it. I'm going to jump into a bit more detail and talk about it regarding to property. So, what happens is stage one is uninformed optimism. You essentially find out about Airbnb, rent to rent, whatever it is, and you think, right, you find out this cool new thing, and you're like, right, that sounds amazing. I can make money from that. I'm going to start a business doing this thing. Okay, brilliant. But right now you are uninformed. So you are optimistic and you're like, yeah, this sounds amazing. I'm going to make money, blah, 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 blah. So you're uninformed optimist. And this is usually where you'll buy some sort of course or mentorship. Not that that's the wrong thing to do, because it's the right thing to do to get educated, but you don't necessarily realize how hard it's going to be. Then the more you start building into this business, you actually go from optimist to pessimist. You essentially realize in the stage two that you are now an informed pessimist. You realize that said thing, so let's call it Airbnb and rent to rent, is actually hard. You need to dedicate time to it. You have to generate leads. You have to convince landlords. You have to secure deals. You have to deal with guests, whatever it is. You realize Airbnb is hard, and it's not necessarily what it's cracked up to be. So suddenly you're realizing that you're having to spend way more time on guest communications. Suddenly you're realizing that you're having to spend time on generating leads when you thought that getting an Airbnb, when you were an uninformed optimist, you thought getting an Airbnb would be the easiest thing ever, and you would just make a couple of phone calls and eventually you'd get one through. Whereas a lot of people essentially kind of, they suck. They fail, and they eventually quit. The reason that they suck and fail is because when you're an uninformed optimist, you don't actually have any skills. You've not built up the skills or the knowledge basis of the new thing that you're doing, in this case Airbnb, to really be good at it. So you don't know how to actually manage your properties. You don't know how to actually speak to landlords. You don't actually know how to get deals. You haven't got the network. You haven't got the experience. So you are now becoming an informed pessimist, and you're like, fuck, this thing is really, really hard, and I'm not making the money that I thought I was going to make. It's taking a lot longer, etc., etc., etc. So then what happens is, as you get more and more pessimistic, you jump into the valley of despair. And this is where you've got these two things here. So either you're like, oh, I've been working on my Airbnb business for 3 months now. I haven't secured a single Airbnb. Now, what a lot of people do is they quit. They do this over and over and over again. They quit and they go back to, right, I was doing Airbnb and property. And sometimes they do it within property. They go, okay, I'm going to jump from rent to rent to BRRs, for example. I can't write. BRRs. you gotta let that go. BRR, right? So they jump from rent to BRR because they're like, well, BRRs, it's capital growth, there's more money in it. So they again now have become an uninformed optimist because they don't realize all the hassle and all the ball ache that comes with doing BRRs. They don't realize that you have to deal with tradies, schedule of works, things not going right, surveys going wrong. One of my friends had a solicitor cock up that lost her $6,000 on an auction property. Like, all kind of stuff that you don't hear about on the service level is like BRRR, pull out your money all in 25%. And then you realize actually most BRRs you don't pull out all your money. You have to leave capital in the deal, all that kind of stuff, right? So they've quit the rent to rent or Airbnb game and they've gone back to doing phase 1 or 2 or 3. Then they would do this with BRR and they're like, oh yeah, okay, amazing. Now they realize they've been doing BRR for a while and they go, oh, it's really hard. I can't get any all money out deals. They start to realize that actually all money out deals don't really necessarily exist, or they're very hard to come by. And then they start to go, okay, I can't find investors, or oh, my build isn't going to plan, or whatever it is. And this is where you keep. And then they get back to here and they're like, oh, fuck, I'm not going to do BRRs. I'm going to do deal sourcing. Or I'm going to do property management. Or I'm going to do whatever it is. Or then it's like, nah, I'm done with that. I'm going to go start a marketing agency. because you've heard someone's making loads of money and doing really well through a marketing agency, or you've heard someone is doing well and making loads of money through AI, or whatever it is. But the thing is, you don't have any skills. No. We'll try right again. No skill. And the reason is, fucking hell. The reason that you don't have any skills is essentially because you never get past the stage of Valley of Despair. But, as it says here, if you continue to do something, and it's one of the things I try and really push in my content, if you continue to do something for a long enough period of time, consistently, you actually keep going, and you realize you can make money, and you can turn it into a profitable business. But the thing is, most people quit here. They are not consistent enough. You need to be consistent enough for a long enough period of time, doing it again and again. And people either they do it for a long period of time, but they drop in and out of consistency, so they never really get the momentum. And those are the three kind of key things: is consistency, time, and momentum. So you have to do it consistently for a long enough period of time to get the momentum to actually see things start to pay off for you. Once you realize that actually, oh, I've kept doing this for like a month or two, and I keep doing it over and over again, and I'm starting to get leads, or I'm starting to get deals come back to me, or people are starting to reach out to me, whatever it is, that's when you become a bit more informed, and you've actually been doing the business for long enough. So you become an informed optimist. You now realize that actually this business model does work, and it wasn't a scam, and that mentorship that you hated when you bought here, you spent the money, let's say you spent 10k on mentorship. I hate that, I can't write like this. You spent 10k on mentorship, and you were like, scam. It was all the way a scam, down all of here and up here. Then you actually went, oh, right, the mentorship wasn't a scam. I just didn't realise how hard it was going to be. And maybe the mentorship didn't necessarily reflect how hard it was going to be, because they made it look easy. And that's potentially part of the problem as well. But the truth is with any mentorship, any course, anything you buy, this is always going to be the case. Because you're so uninformed, you know nothing about the business, you know nothing about the model, you have to get coaching or mentorship or whatever to actually get an understanding of how to run the business. But then you realise the business is really hard. But once you get to here, you realise, right, the mentorship wasn't actually a scam. I just hadn't been doing it long enough, and I hadn't been doing it successfully enough, consistently enough for a long enough period of time. That's when you actually start to essentially get out of this cycle. Because most entrepreneurs, and the reason that most people can't be entrepreneurs, and the reason that they fail, is essentially they just keep repeating the first three over and over again. 99% of business models, where it's Airbnb management, Airbnb, BRR, rent to rent, deal sourcing, whatever it is, right, you can make money. These models are tried, proven, and successful. The same with any marketing agency, crypto, AI, plumbing business, software company, gardening, whatever it is, right? These are all proven business models where people have made money before. So there is a blueprint, and there is a reason you do it. But the reason most people fail is because they never get out of this stage, and they're actually just stuck before they get to informed and they realize they can start to make the money. And then stage 5 is actually when you start to be fulfilled. So let's say you achieve your goal, and that's where I would like to say I'm at now. Or problem is this graph, what it fails to represent is that it goes on. So you have more goals. More goals. You have more goals that you want to hit. So some entrepreneurs are never fulfilled because they want to hit those goals. But actually what you realize is that it's the journey. The journey along the way is what you enjoy. So you get your sense of fulfillment from the journey, from the goals, because the goals just keep on extending. They keep just going further and further away, right? So the goalpost always moves. You want to quit your job? Now you want to make 10k a month. Now you want to make 100k a month. Now you want whatever, right? And then this journey just keeps on extending and keeps going forward. But that's okay, right? And that's where you actually get the sense of fulfillment. The fact that I can wake up in the morning and go do my work and I enjoy it and I want to work. And the fact that I enjoy holidays, but I always want to get back to work, or I always want to be doing things. And for me, there is no work-life balance because my life is the work that I enjoy doing, and that's fine. But that's how you get this sense of fulfillment and that you become happy. Because whatever success is to you, whether it's just leaving your job, whether it's, making hundreds of millions of pounds, or whether it's just that you want to be happy, whatever it is, right? That comes along that way. But if you just keep repeating these first three steps, that's where you fail over and over again. And that's why so many entrepreneurs suck or they can't do it. And you just have to know that if you do it for a long enough period of time, consistently, you'll get momentum and you'll get the success. So that's actually how you can stop failing as an entrepreneur, is essentially by doing these things. Or basically just committing to it for a long enough period of time. And when you get to that pessimistic phase, you realize it's probably you because you have no skills and you're actually uninformed on the thing. You haven't learned it yet. You haven't learned the skills. Then actually the fact that said thing sucks and it's never going to make money.